No, no, yeah, no, no, no.
Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel, An Aesthetic Nurse. Today's video is going to be all about setting boundaries in nursing and learning how to say no. So I was literally sitting on my couch just scrolling through Instagram, as always, and this idea just popped in my head. Like something just said, I see the light. And so I literally put on a t-shirt and came to film a YouTube video. But the lady that I follow that inspired this video, her Instagram name is Whole Life Nurse. And in her bio it says, basically her entire page is geared towards teaching nurses how to create a life and career they love with less stress, more money, and better health. She does not know that I'm making this video. I'm probably going to put her Instagram link in the description box below, but if you're not following her, you need to. But basically we're going to talk about certain scenarios, and we're going to talk about whether or not that makes you a bad nurse. So the reason why I was inspired to make this video, everyone that knows me knows that I'm different. The way I think is different from others. The way I act is different from others. Backstory is, I'm from the Bahamas. The way my mother grew me up was basically to have great work ethic, to be professional whenever I'm in a work environment, and basically to just be respectful. Yes ma'am, no ma'am. And so in my head, I'm kind of programmed to respect authority. And even if that authoritative figure isn't doing right, in my brain, and I don't know if it's a Caribbean thing, but I feel like regardless of what they're doing, they are above me. They're on another level than me, and it is my responsibility to respect them and do whatever they say. For example, if I already work 4 days in 1 week, and this may sound crazy to you guys, and my manager says, hey Sandria, we're short, I need an extra nurse this week, I will just say okay. I literally avoid confrontation by all means necessary. I'm a people pleaser, and that's probably why I'm in the field of nursing. But I just feel like whatever my manager says I need to do. And so one day I picked up an extra shift knowing that my husband had something I needed to attend and that I was very exhausted, but I did it just because my manager said so. And that day I just had this epiphany. I'm like, no, you need to learn to say no. You need to basically and make decisions that are in your best interest. At the end of the day, and this may sound so terrible, y'all, but I've literally heard someone say at the hospital that nurses are disposable. They can get rid of nurses, they can fire nurses, they can hire nurses, nurses will come in and travel, nurses can come on internal contracts and make more than you. And so at the end of the day, whatever decision you make, it needs to be in your best interest. It doesn't need to be in the best interest of your unit and of your hospital. But let's get into this Instagram post. I need a sip first. So the first point she has on here, it says, you are not a bad nurse for saying no to extra shifts. And like I said, I picked up that extra shift because I don't want to be seen as lazy. I don't want to be seen as not being a team player. I don't want to be seen as you only pick up extra shifts when you need extra money. And so that was the way I looked at the entire situation. But if you don't want to pick up an extra shift, don't pick up an extra shift. I mean, they could be short 4 nurses that day, but unless you have the availability, unless you have the availability, unless you're free, unless you're well rested, unless you need some extra money, unless picking up this extra shift is gonna benefit you, don't pick up an extra shift unless you need to. Point blank, period. The second pointer that she has, it says, you are not a bad nurse for not wanting to swap shifts. And this is another thing. I feel like the way you treat others, others will treat you. And so I will go out of my way to swap a shift so that someone else can have that day off. Because if I need a shift one day, I want to be able to swap. And I feel like do unto others as you want them to do unto you, basically. But if you don't want to swap a shift, don't do it. You don't have to. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I'm slightly immature in that area, but I'm a people pleaser, and I feel like I have to do whatever people ask me to do. Like, I feel like it's my responsibility to save the world, and it's not. And when you go ahead and swap that shift and you miss a family event or miss something that's important, then you're letting your family down. So make sure if you do swap a shift that it's benefiting you and it's benefiting your fellow coworker. The third point, she says, you are not a bad nurse if you choose to leave the bedside. And I'm gonna touch on this slightly. Nursing is not for everyone. Bedside nursing is not for everyone. If you decide to be in informatics in the field of nursing, it doesn't make you any less of a nurse. That person is still a nurse. And so if you decide to leave bedside nursing, it's okay. Some people are born natural leaders. If you want to be a manager or assistant manager, go ahead. If you want to be a healthcare administrator and be a CNO of a hospital, then be my guest. Like, it's nothing wrong with leaving the bedside. You're not a bad nurse. And if it's benefiting you, then go ahead and do it. So whatever desires God put in your heart, go ahead and follow it and do what you have to do, sis. Especially if it's increasing some coins. The next thing she says is, you are not a bad nurse for not being able to stay late. And I'm sorry, I have sinus problems. Like, that's just me. Y'all hear me sniffle throughout every single video. Y'all will be fine. But you are not a bad nurse because you don't want to stay late. There's a difference between being lazy, being selfish, being caught up on your task and not helping your coworkers, and actually being helpful throughout the day. You've completed your task and now it's time to go, so go home to your kids. Like, I mean, it's nothing wrong with that. Now, in my unit, we've kind of built a culture where it's no man left behind. And so if one person is done, they will walk around. Hey, do you need help? Hey, do you need charting help? Do you need a med administrator? Do you need a position change? Like, what do you need to get you out of the unit? And so we're kind of like wired to wait on each other and leave at the same time. But certain days, I want to hit the gym, or I want to go home to my man that I ain't seen, you know, in 3 days, because I've been working 3 12-hour shifts. And whenever those days come, I say, hey, do y'all need any help? I make sure I help throughout the day, and I go home. Especially if you're pulling 3 in a row and you have to be back the next morning. And a lot of my coworkers drive at least 30-40 minutes to make it to work. So if you have to leave work on time, go ahead. Don't feel bad. Don't say no. I mean, your coworker is not gonna wake up in the morning, pick you up and drive you to work. Like, you have to be responsible for yourself. So if you need to go, if you need to leave on time, go ahead. I don't see anything wrong with it. And the last thing she says is, you are not a bad nurse for leaving a job within any timeline if it's a decision that is truly healthy and right for you. And so an example of this is, a lot of CRNA students have graduated with their BSN or ASN, went straight into an ICU, gained their 1-year experience, apply to school, and then leave. And a lot of managers, I feel, look down on that. If you watch my video entitled, Are You Tired of Taking L's? You would know that I asked my manager for a letter of recommendation, and she told me, no, I haven't been there long enough, that I've only been there 9 months, and she just didn't feel comfortable writing it. A lot of managers, and I don't know why, and I don't know if a manager is like this, that's neither here or there, but a lot of managers or even co-workers look down on you for getting your experience and leaving. Or if you come into a new unit and when you interviewed, it seemed like this is the right place for you, but 3 months into the job, you realize that the culture of the unit is toxic and you don't want to be there anymore. You may be considered like job hopping or unprofessional. If you're not happy, leave. I know back in the day, like our grandmas and people in Bahamas where I'm from, they stayed on their jobs 30, 40, 25 years. They retired, never left. Like, I mean, they some OG nurses, but I have been in one ER 6 months, another ER 1 year and 8 months. I've been in the ICU 10 months, and on Monday, I started a travel position, and I don't see anything wrong with that. I feel like nursing is a career field where you can go from med-surg to ICU to labor and delivery. I just feel like it's better to switch it up. I feel like it prevents burnout. I feel like it keeps you on your toes, and I don't see anything wrong with it. So if you work a job 1 week and realize that that is not the place for you, go ahead and go. They will replace you. Like someone said, nurses are disposable, and you have to do what's best for you. Learning to say no doesn't make you a bad nurse. I feel like it makes you a great nurse because you're taking control of your mental health and just your life and your surroundings. And I don't know, I just feel like learning to say no is like a talent. I feel like it's something we need to be educated on, and we need to learn to never compromise ourselves or our health or our well-being just for our hospitals. And this video, I mean, if you can stay late to help your co-workers, go ahead and stay late. If you can pick up a extra shift and you love your co-workers and you don't want them to be short-staffed, go ahead and pick up. There's nothing wrong with that. But this entire video is just letting someone out there know that it is okay to say no to your manager, to your co-worker, to whomever. I hope y'all liked this video. I hope it was insightful. I hope I didn't ramble too much because it was literally an impromptu video. Go ahead and subscribe if you like my content, and I will see y'all in the next video. Peace.